The scorching sensation, like countless fine needles pricking my skin, combined with the pungent smell of burnt asphalt, jolted me, Wu-Di, awake from the chaos. I snapped my eyes open, but the blinding light forced me to squint. As my pupils contracted, I finally made out my surroundings. I was lying on a scorching black asphalt road covered in fine cracks, as if it had been ravaged by time and extreme heat. Touching the surface with my fingertips, I felt a sharp, burning pain. I estimated the outdoor temperature to be at least 40 degrees Celsius, a far cry from the climate-controlled office I had been in before I transmigrated. I struggled to sit up, my head still spinning. My last memory was of being at home late at night after work, curled up on the sofa, scrolling through short videos of web novels. I had just swiped past a video about a highway survival game when everything went black. Now, I had appeared here. I pushed myself up from the blistering asphalt, my legs feeling as heavy as lead. My frail physique, a result of years of sedentary office work, was cruelly exposed under the 40-degree heat. The simple act of standing up drained most of my strength. Fine beads of sweat broke out on my forehead, instantly heating up in the sweltering air before rolling down my cheeks. My breathing became rapid and ragged, my chest heaving, and even the air I inhaled felt scorching. I steadied myself and scanned my surroundings. When I saw the desolate and perilous scene before me, my heart sank, and a chill raced up my spine, momentarily overpowering the heat on my skin. The asphalt road beneath my feet was wide and flat, a standard 3-lane design. There were no traffic signs or obstacles on either side, and it stretched endlessly into the horizon like a black dragon. Beyond the road, to both the left and right, lay boundless yellow sand. Fine grains of sand swirled in the hot wind, drifting away. In the distance, the yellow sand met the sky, forming a blurred horizon. There was no vegetation, no buildings, and no signs of human activity, only the eerie, desolate whistling of the wind. What made my heart tighten even more was that one end of the highway looked completely different from the other. In one direction, the black asphalt road stretched on endlessly, but in the opposite direction, there was a thick, impenetrable black fog. The black fog seemed alive, rolling and churning at the edge of the road. I couldn't see anything inside it, but it gave me an inexplicable chill, as if something deadly was hidden behind it. "Where is this? Did I transmigrate?" I whispered. The composure of a 30-year-old office worker helped me suppress my panic and force myself to stay calm. I wiped the sweat from my forehead and glanced beside me. A dilapidated, unbranded minivan sat there quietly, its body covered in dust and scratches, the paint peeling severely, and the windows cloudy. It looked like a piece of junk ready to be scrapped at any moment. Just then, a slight, cool sensation on my left wrist broke the silence. I looked down to see a silver-white wristband that hadn't been there before. It was thin, lightweight, and smooth, with no buttons and a delicate metallic texture. It shimmered with a faint blue light in the sun, as if it were bonded to my wrist from birth. No matter how I shook my arm, it didn't budge. It was clearly impossible to remove. Ding! A crisp, calm, and emotionless notification sound echoed in my mind. Simultaneously, the blue light on the silver wristband brightened, and a translucent screen appeared out of thin air before me, filled with clear, concise, and orderly text. The global highway competition has begun. All participants have completed forced transmission. Competition rules. Survival is the priority. Death is the end. There is no resurrection mechanism. The final goal is currently locked. Participation scope. All humans on Blue Star aged 16 to 50 are forced to participate with no exemptions. Humans under 16 or over 50 do not participate and are in safe standby mode. Novice period tip. The first 24 hours are the novice period. During this time, participants will be in complete isolation and will not encounter any other participants. After the novice period, other participants will be randomly refreshed and a free survival competition will begin. Core warning. Do not approach the black fog area at the edge of the highway. Do not leave the asphalt road to enter the yellow sand zone. Violators will face unknown dangers. There are all the supplies you need along the way. Survivors, set off as soon as possible before nightfall. The series of system notifications appeared clearly on the screen. I read them word for word, my heart sinking. A global highway competition, forced participation, death as the end, and those unknown black fog and yellow sand zones. Every piece of information told me this wasn't a game, but a life-or-death survival struggle. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. Years of office life had taught me to stay composed and organize my thoughts when faced with trouble. Since I couldn't change the fact that I had transmigrated, I had to find a way to survive. I looked at the screen, climbed into the old minivan, and began exploring the wristband's functions. At the top of the screen, 5 options were clearly displayed: announcement, communication, personal, warehouse, and crafting. With a thought, I switched to the communication option. 2 channels immediately appeared on the screen: World Channel and Regional Channel. The World Channel displayed can only post once per day, while the Regional Channel allowed 3 posts per day. There were quite a few sporadic messages. Clearly, those in the Regional Channel were other participants in the same area as me. What the hell? Where's this? Wasn't I sleeping at home? How'd I suddenly end up here? Global highway competition? Forced participation? Death is the end? Don't do this to me. I want to go home. Does anyone know what this black fog is? I got close to it just now and felt freezing cold. It's terrifying. Damn it, there's a broken minivan next to me. They say it's the starting vehicle. Does anyone know if this thing even runs? Does any expert know how to survive? I'm dying of thirst. It's over 40 degrees. If I don't get water, I'm going to get heat stroke. Stop arguing. Everyone calm down. What's the point of shouting? Quickly check the wristband functions and think about how to survive. The novice period is only 24 hours. After that, we'll meet others. The messages in the regional channel increased, mostly panicked, helpless cries. A few people were still calm, reminding others to check the wristband functions and look for survival supplies. I quickly scanned these messages and got a general idea. There were many people who had transmigrated like me. Most were in a panic, and only a few remained calm. Currently, everyone was facing the dilemma of high heat and lack of water, and some didn't even know the purpose of their starting vehicle. I didn't post anything and silently closed the communication channel. Now is not the time to waste energy complaining or panicking. I needed to understand my situation and find the capital to survive. With a thought, I switched to the personal option. My information appeared instantly. Name, Wu D. Age, 30. Physique, 8. Spirit, 13. Talent, not yet drawn. Vehicle, level 1 old minivan, warehouse. Initial 10 slots, empty. Below the screen, there is a clear Draw Initial Talent button flickering with a faint blue light. Ding! Tip! All participants can draw 1 initial talent for free. The draw range is common to silver grade. The notification sounded in my mind again. Without hesitation, I tapped the Draw Initial Talent button. Instantly, the screen glowed with a dazzling blue light, forming a circular turntable. 4 talent grades were evenly distributed on it: common, bronze, black iron, and silver. The number of slots for each grade varied. Common was the most frequent, and silver the least. Clearly, the probability of drawing a silver grade talent was the lowest. The turntable spun rapidly, the speed increasing until the specific icons were a blur of blue light. My heart raced. I had read enough web novels to know the importance of talents in survival games. A powerful talent could give me the upper hand in this cruel competition. I prayed silently, hoping for a practical talent, preferably silver grade. A few seconds later, the turntable slowed down, the blue light dimmed, and it finally stopped, the pointer resting steadily on the silver grade icon. Ding! Congratulations to participant Wu Di for drawing the silver grade talent. Promotion. Talent name. Promotion silver grade. Talent effect. 1. Can unconditionally promote any item by 1 tier, 100% probability. 2. Can promote any item by 2 tiers, 20% probability. 3. Can promote any item by 3 tiers, 0.01% probability. Talent cooldown, 7 days. Seeing the talent effect, my eyes lit up and my heart hammered against my ribs. My experience with web novels and games told me this was a practical, high-quality talent. A silver grade ability that could unconditionally promote any item by 1 tier, even with only a 20% chance for 2 tiers, was enough to give me a head start in this survival game. But the joy lasted only 2 seconds before I frowned, a concern rising in my mind. This competition was a matter of life and death. The novice period was only 24 hours, and there were unknown disasters and other participants ahead. A 7-day cooldown was too long. If I couldn't survive today, the talent was useless. I looked back at the talent description on the screen, my eyes fixed on the words, any item. A bold idea suddenly popped into my head. Any item? Then, does the talent itself count as an item? Could I use this promotion talent on the talent itself? If it were possible, not only could I solve the long cooldown problem, but I might even break through the silver grade limit to a higher level. As this thought emerged, it felt like finding a hidden Easter egg in a web novel, and my concerns were replaced by uncontrollable excitement. The more I thought about it, the more excited and nervous I became. I didn't know if this was feasible. After all, the talent was bound to me, unlike ordinary items. If I failed, would it affect my existing talent? Could it even cause physical harm? After hesitating for a moment, I checked the regional channel again. It was still full of panic and helplessness. Some had drawn trashy common talents and were wailing. Some had bronze talents and were barely keeping it together. Others had black iron talents and were cautiously testing them. No one mentioned being able to promote a talent. Screw it. I gritted my teeth and made my decision. I took a deep breath, forced myself to calm down, focused my mind, and directed the promotion talent effect onto the talent itself. Ding! Tip! Detected that participant Wu Di is using the talent effect on their own talent promotion, silver grade. The talent is a special item and can be promoted. Confirm use. The notification sounded again. I was overjoyed. It was possible. Without hesitation, I thought, confirm use. Instantly, the blue light on my wristband surged, enveloping me in a dazzling glow. The talent description on the screen began to change. The silver grade icon began to glow with a golden light that grew brighter, covering the entire screen. At the same time, the talent's effects and cooldown were rapidly refreshing. Ding! Congratulations to participant Wu Di. The talent promotion, silver grade, has been successfully promoted. Promoted 3 tiers to mythical grade talent. Rule breaker. As the blue light surged, the talent information on the screen was reconstructed. The silver grade icon vanished, replaced by a brilliant golden halo. As the system notification finished, the old information was overwritten and the new mythical grade talent, Rule Breaker, was clearly displayed. The blue light faded, and the screen became clear again. Every word of the mythical grade talent information made me feel incredibly excited and shocked. Talent name: Rule Breaker, mythical grade. Talent effect 1. Can be used on a single item category. 100% chance to increase by 1 tier. 30% chance to increase by 2 tiers. 5% chance to increase by 3 tiers. Daily usage limit: 5 times. Maximum promotion cannot exceed mythical grade. Talent effect 2. Can designate a single item to directly break through 3 tiers. Cooldown: 72 hours. Maximum promotion cannot exceed mythical grade. Talent note: mythical grade talent, unique characteristic. Can only be used on a single item category, limited to supplies, equipment, and blueprints. A mythical grade talent. Rule Breaker. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding, my body trembling with excitement. Compared to the original silver grade, the mythical grade Rule Breaker was worlds apart. 5 uses per day, a 100% chance to promote by 1 tier, and a 72-hour cooldown for a direct 3-tier jump. I closed the regional channel, my excitement gradually settling into calm and determination. I still had many urgent problems to solve: mild dehydration, lack of stamina, no water or food, only 5L of fuel in the tank, and the 24-hour novice period. After 24 hours, I would not only meet other participants, but also face the first disaster. I looked down at the wristband. The mythical grade talent still flickered with a faint blue light, as if reminding me that I now possessed a heaven-defying advantage. I looked at the crude dashboard and then through the window at the endless asphalt road, a flicker of resolve in my eyes. I gripped the steering wheel and pressed the ignition button. Vroom! The minivan let out a dull roar and started smoothly. The needle on the dashboard flickered. 5L of fuel remaining, 0 miles driven. It's an automatic, and this ignition button is ridiculous. Such a broken car, yet it has fancy features. I checked the time on the wristband, 12:20. This was the first time I had truly started the car since waking up. It was my only means of transport in this strange survival world and my temporary shelter. Outside, there was still boundless yellow sand. The dunes on both sides were scorched by the sun, glowing with a dull yellow hue. The straight, 3-lane black asphalt road was smooth, but there were no signs of other vehicles or pedestrians, not even road signs. Only the monotonous black surface stretched to the horizon, blurred and distant under the heat-distorted air. I didn't rush to slam on the gas. I gently pressed the pedal, and the minivan moved forward at a steady pace. I clearly remembered that the Level 1 minivan had a top speed of only 60 kilometers per hour. Moreover, the car was dilapidated, and the brakes and steering were sluggish. On a road like this, where there was no end in sight and no idea what dangers lay ahead, excessive speed was meaningless and would only waste precious fuel or lead to an inability to react to sudden situations. The car moved forward slowly. The hum of the engine, the sound of the wind outside, and my own steady breathing intertwined, becoming the only sounds in this desolate world. I kept one hand firmly on the steering wheel, my eyes vigilantly scanning both sides of the road, the rearview mirror, and the road ahead. I didn't dare to relax for a second. My other hand rested on my knee, my fingertips occasionally tapping the wristband screen, switching between the personal interface, communication channel, and warehouse, trying to find more clues for survival from the limited information. The first problem of survival weighed on my heart like a boulder. Where would supplies come from? Water, food, fuel, vehicle repair tools, and even weapons for self-defense. These were indispensable for survival. In this strange, unknown world, these things wouldn't just appear out of thin air. based on the countless survival web novels I had read. In this type of global competition, supplies would inevitably refresh in some fixed form. Perhaps supply crates on the side of the road, abandoned vehicles, or supply points hidden in the dunes. But so far, I had driven nearly a kilometer and hadn't encountered anything unusual. I must look carefully. I can't miss anything that stands out. I reminded myself, my gaze becoming sharper. I knew that in this life-or-death survival game, any negligence could lead to fatal consequences, especially in the early stages when supplies were extremely scarce. Finding the first batch of supplies would mean one more chance at survival. The second question I pondered repeatedly was the talent grade. I opened the regional channel again. Messages scrolled by rapidly, chaotic, and without order. Most were people panicking, crying for help, or asking confused questions. It was clear that everyone was still in shock, their hearts wrapped in fear. Is anyone there? Help! What kind of hellish place is this? I was just sleeping at home. How did I suddenly end up on this broken road? Where's my mom? Has anyone seen my mom? We woke up together. She got out of the car to find water, and now she's gone. Can someone tell me how to leave? I don't want to be here. I want to go home. Is there anyone who knows what's going on? Please say something. My car is broken. It stalled as soon as I started it. Can anyone fix cars? Please help. I'm willing to trade the only bread I have. I'm dying of thirst. Does anyone have water? I'm dehydrating. Can someone lend me a sip of water? I'll repay you handsomely later. Did you guys get a wristband notification? Mine says I have a talent, but I don't understand it. It's common grade. What's the point of it? Among the chaotic messages, a few sporadic discussions about talent stood out, making the vague grade framework in my mind clearer. I drew a common talent called minor self-healing. It seems useless. I accidentally cut my hand just now, and it bled for a while. The healing speed isn't much faster. I'm a bronze talent. Physique boost. The wristband shows my physique has significantly increased. I'm much stronger than before and don't get tired as easily. Finally, some peace of mind. So jealous. I'm a black iron talent, water perception. It's supposed to give a hint if there's water within a 50-meter radius. I just tried it, and it's completely useless. A few messages flashed by. I silently closed the regional channel, tapped my fingertips lightly against the steering wheel, and fell into deep thought. Common bronze, black, iron, silver. This is the current upper limit for the talent grades everyone could draw. Judging by the descriptions, most talents of bronze grade and above come with specific attribute bonuses or practical special functions, whereas common talents are mostly better than nothing. Yet, my own talent had jumped straight from silver to mythical grade, skipping 2 entire unknown tiers in between. What grade comes after silver? Is it gold, dark gold, or perhaps legendary? No one knows, and no one is mentioned in the channel. And is there a level even higher than mythical? Is a mythical talent truly the ceiling of this world? For now, there are no answers to these questions. The third issue I've been pondering repeatedly is my vehicle. In the personal interface of my wristband, the information about my car is clear and concise. Level 1 old minivan, top speed 60 kilometers per hour, current fuel 5L. That level 1 says it all. This car, like my talent, is not fixed. It can be upgraded, becoming more powerful, faster, and more fuel efficient. It might even unlock special functions. However, I have no idea what the requirements for promotion are. Does it require specific vehicle blueprints or rare upgrade materials? The thought of using my mythical talent, Rule Breaker, to force an upgrade crossed my mind, but I dismissed it instantly. The wristband had already explicitly stated that the talent only applies to supplies, equipment, and blueprints and must never be used on vehicles. The old minivan drove steadily along the empty highway. I occasionally wiped sweat from my forehead, my eyes remaining vigilant as I scanned the surroundings. Time ticked away, and the odometer on the dashboard slowly climbed from 0 to 5, then to 10. I didn't check the time, but I could clearly feel that I had traveled a significant distance. The needle on the fuel gauge had also dipped slightly. A portion of the 5L of fuel had already been consumed. This made me even more cautious, and I tried to maintain a steady speed to minimize fuel consumption. Just then, my gaze suddenly sharpened. I leaned forward slightly, staring intently at the road ahead, and instinctively tapped the brake. Right in the center of the road ahead sat a gray-black metal box, about the size of a suitcase. Its surface was smooth and devoid of any markings. On the monotonous black road, it stood out starkly, forming a sharp contrast with the surrounding yellow sand and the highway. The old minivan slowed down gradually, eventually coming to a stop about 5 meters in front of the metal box. I didn't get out immediately. Instead, I looked through the window, scanned the area to the left and right, and checked the rearview mirror. All around was still vast, empty yellow sand. There was no sign of any other vehicles or pedestrians. The black fog zone in the distance had been left far behind, and there were no signs of danger or any unusual movements. Even so, I didn't let my guard down. Years of reading web novels taught me that in this survival world, the more conspicuous the supply, the more likely it is to hide danger. It could be a trap, a snare set by other players, or perhaps the supply crate itself carried unknown risks. I observed patiently for a full minute. Only after confirming there was truly nothing unusual and no trace of other players did I breathe a slight sigh of relief. Once I was sure the surroundings were safe, I pushed open the door. The road surface was still scorching, making the soles of my feet ache. I walked quickly to the supply crate, but didn't rashly touch any other part of the box. Instead, I slowly extended my right hand and pressed my fingertips lightly against the surface of the gray-black metal. The next second, the wristband on my wrist vibrated gently. A crisp notification sound rang in my mind, and a light screen popped up automatically. A line of white text was clearly visible. Ding! Detected a common supply crate. Open it. It's finally here. My heart skipped a beat. I felt both the joy of finding supplies and a hint of subtle nervousness. This was the first supply crate I had encountered in this survival world, and my first opportunity to obtain survival resources. I dared not be the least bit careless. Just as I was about to open it, a thought crossed my mind. Can a supply crate be enhanced by my talent? Thinking of this, I suppressed my excitement and used my talent directly. Ding! This item does not meet the requirements for talent promotion. Seeing the interface pop up, I took a deep breath, forced myself to calm down, and whispered in my heart, "Open." The moment the command was given, the gray-black metal box in the middle of the road suddenly emitted a faint white light. There was no mechanical sound or movement. It simply turned transparent, eventually dissolving into countless tiny specks of light that vanished into the air as if it had never existed. At the same time, the warehouse interface on my wristband popped up automatically. Lines of clear notification information refreshed on the light screen, each one easing my tense nerves just a little. Obtained pure water ×2, 500 milliliters per bottle. Obtained compressed biscuits ×2, 100 g each, provides basic energy and satiety. Obtained beef jerky ×1, 50 g, high protein, high calorie, can quickly replenish physical strength. Obtained chocolate ×1, 30 g, high calorie, can quickly replenish energy, alleviate hunger and fatigue. Obtained gasoline ×10L, can be used for level 1 minivan range. Increases travel distance by approximately 100 kilometers. I carefully checked the warehouse interface. The 5 items were neatly arranged in 5 of the 10 available slots. There were 5 empty slots left, enough to store future supplies. All items were automatically stored without me needing to do anything, and the box had completely disappeared. The whole process was fast and smooth, exactly as I had imagined. I tapped on the pure water in the warehouse, and the item details appeared on the screen, confirming it was safe to drink. Looking at the 2 bottles of water, 2 packs of compressed biscuits, and 10 L of gasoline, my nerves, which had been tight for so long, finally relaxed a bit. The 3 most basic and crucial survival resources had been replenished all at once. At least for the next while, I wouldn't have to worry about a lack of water, food, or running out of fuel. I immediately returned to the car, leaned back against the seat, and closed my eyes to rest for a dozen seconds. When I opened them again, the fatigue in my eyes had dissipated significantly, replaced by determination and vigilance. The first supply crate had appeared, which meant there would be a second, a third, and even more. It also meant there would be more unknowns and more dangers ahead. I might encounter other players, dangerous zones, higher-grade supply crates, or even traps. I pulled myself together, gently pressed the accelerator, and the old minivan moved forward steadily once more. I set aside unnecessary emotions and kept a close watch on both sides of the road. The old minivan drove steadily along the pitch-black highway. The old engine's hum was exceptionally clear in the empty wilderness. Outside the window, the yellow sand continued to roll in waves, and the scorching sun showed no signs of weakening. Hot wind poured in through the gaps in the windows, keeping the temperature inside the car high. My hands on the steering wheel were steady and firm, my gaze scanning the road ahead with vigilance. Most of the fatigue in my eyes had vanished. The common supply crate I had just found had completely solved my most pressing survival problems. 2 500 milliliters bottles of pure water were enough to sustain my daily intake, while the compressed biscuits, beef jerky, and chocolate met my basic energy needs. The additional 10 L of gasoline was an even greater relief. I glanced at the fuel gauge. With the initial 5 L and the 10 L I just added, I had a total of 15 L. After the consumption from this stretch of road, I had about 13 L left. Given that the level 1 minivan consumes about 10 L per 100 kilometers, this fuel was enough to take me another 130 kilometers or so. I didn't need to worry about running out of fuel for the time being. With supplies and fuel secured, my mindset became much calmer. I was no longer as anxious as when I first started. I maintained a steady speed of about 50 kilometers per hour, enough to avoid wasting fuel, while still being able to react to emergencies. My left hand occasionally rested on my knee, my fingertips brushing against the wristband. Questions about talent grades and vehicle upgrades flickered my mind, but I didn't dwell on them. Right now, surviving and finding more supplies were the most important things. I didn't open the regional channel again. I knew it was likely still filled with chaotic cries for help and complaints. Rather than wasting time on useless information, it was better to focus on the road and look for the next supply crate. After all, in this survival world, only the supplies and strength in my own hands were truly reliable. Time slipped away amidst the hum of the engine and the sound of the wind outside, and the odometer on the dashboard ticked steadily. Since finding the first supply crate, I had driven for nearly another 20 minutes, and the number on the odometer had slowly climbed from 20 kilometers to about 40. I had driven another 20 kilometers. Just then my gaze shifted slightly. My eyes landed on the side of the road to the right. It was no longer just monotonous yellow sand. A gray-black metal box sat quietly at the foot of a sand dune. It was slightly smaller than the common supply crate I had encountered earlier, and its surface shimmered with a faint bronze luster, forming a sharp contrast with the surrounding environment. I instinctively tapped the brake, and the minivan slowed down, eventually stopping about 10 meters away from the crate. I didn't get out immediately. Instead, I scanned the area through the window and checked the rear-view mirror several times. All around was still vast yellow sand. There was no sign of any vehicles or pedestrians, no unusual movements, and no scent of danger. It was just like the scene when I found the first crate, empty and silent. Even so, I didn't let my guard down. Years of web novel experience had made me cautious. I observed patiently for dozens of seconds, confirming there were truly no traps or other players lying in ambush before pushing open the door. The road surface was still scorching, making my soles ache. I walked quickly toward the supply crate at the side of the road with light, swift steps. Upon reaching it, I noticed that the surface of this crate was engraved with fine patterns, making it more exquisite than the common supply crate. The faint bronze luster was also more apparent. I extended my right hand and pressed my fingertips lightly against the surface. The next second, the wristband on my wrist vibrated gently. A crisp notification sounded, and the light screen popped up. Ding, detected a bronze supply crate. Open it. A bronze supply crate? A flash of surprise crossed my eyes, followed by a surge of joy. I could guess that supply crates, like talents, were graded. The rewards inside a bronze supply crate were likely much better than those in a common one. Without the slightest hesitation, I whispered in my heart, "Open." The moment the command was given, the bronze supply crate emitted a faint bronze glow, brighter than the white light of the common crate. Still, there was no mechanical movement or sound. The box slowly turned transparent and eventually dissolved into tiny specks of light that vanished into the air. At the same time, the warehouse interface of my wristband popped up automatically. Lines of notification information refreshed, and there was one more item than when I opened the common crate, making the haul much richer. Obtained. Automatic hand crossbow, green quality, ×1. Obtained. Mineral Sports Water ×4, 500 milliliters per bottle, quickly replenishes electrolytes, alleviates dehydration. Obtained. Energy Bar ×4, 40g/bar. High carbohydrate, quick energy replenishment, easy to carry. Obtained. Vacuum-packed braised egg ×2, 60g/each. High protein, good taste, replenishes physical strength. My gaze fell immediately on the automatic hand crossbow, green quality. This was the first piece of equipment I had obtained, and, other than the vehicle, the only thing I could use for self-defense. I immediately tapped on the equipment, and a detailed description popped up on the screen. Automatic hand crossbow, green quality. A basic civilian version produced by Senkei Company. Simple to operate, moderate power. Do not aim at living targets. Includes crossbow bolts ×10. The brief description clearly explained the basic situation of the hand crossbow. A thought instantly crossed my mind. My mythical talent, Rule Breaker, could promote equipment. Perhaps I could use my talent to promote this green quality automatic hand crossbow and make it even more powerful. Without hesitation, I followed the method for using my talent, focused my attention, and applied it to the green quality automatic hand crossbow in the warehouse. The next second, the wristband vibrated gently. A pale blue light flashed. The icon of the green crossbow in the warehouse changed instantly, and the notification information updated accordingly. Ding! Talent Rule Breaker activated. Automatic hand crossbow, green quality, promoted by 1 tier, becoming automatic hand crossbow, blue quality. I immediately tapped on the promoted blue quality automatic hand crossbow to check the new description. Automatic hand crossbow, blue quality, an enhanced civilian version produced by Senkei Company. Extended magazine, increased power, deals massive damage to large beasts. Simple to operate. Includes crossbow bolts times 20. Seeing the changes in the description, the corners of my mouth curled up and a hint of satisfaction flashed in my eyes. An extended magazine, increased power, the ability to deal massive damage to large beasts, and the number of bolts increased from 10 to 20. This was undoubtedly a huge improvement. In this unknown world, danger was inevitable, and with such an enhanced hand crossbow, my chances of survival had increased once more. Amidst my joy, a bold thought emerged. Since the talent could promote a green crossbow to blue, could I use the talent on the blue crossbow again to promote it further? Thinking of this, I immediately focused my attention and tried to apply the talent to the blue quality automatic hand crossbow again. However, this time, the wristband didn't react at all, and there was no notification sound. It was as if the talent had failed. I frowned, then realized it seems the talent rule breaker cannot be used on items that have already been promoted. In other words, each supply, piece of equipment, or blueprint can only be promoted once by the talent and cannot be promoted repeatedly. This discovery left me feeling slightly regretful, but more importantly, clear-headed. I suddenly remembered the wristband had previously indicated that the talent rule breaker has 5 uses per day, and after they're used up, I have to wait until midnight the next day for the uses to refresh. I immediately tapped on the talent interface to check the remaining uses. Sure enough, promoting the automatic hand crossbow had used up 1 opportunity. Current remaining uses, 4. My expression gradually became steady. I tapped my fingertips against the wristband, thinking silently. 5 talent opportunities might seem like a lot, but each use could bring a massive improvement or be wasted on insignificant items. Promoting the automatic hand crossbow was undoubtedly a very worthwhile use, but I couldn't be careless with the remaining 4. Must not waste them. They must be used wisely. I reminded myself silently. It was only noon, and there was still a long time until midnight. During this time, I might encounter more supply crates or find more valuable equipment, supplies, or blueprints. It would be the most prudent choice to decide how to use the remaining 4 opportunities based on what I found later. Unless I encountered an emergency that required the talent to resolve, I would never use the remaining 4 opportunities lightly. I took another look at the warehouse interface. The basic survival supplies from the bronze supply crate were indeed double those of the common one, enough to sustain me for a longer period. The only regret was not getting extra fuel, but the current fuel was enough to keep me driving for a while longer. I turned and returned to the minivan, closing the door to shut out the scorching air. I didn't start driving immediately. Instead, I took a bottle of pure water from the warehouse, unscrewed the cap, and took a gentle sip. The cool water flowed down my throat, instantly relieving the feeling of dryness. After drinking, I placed the hand crossbow on the passenger seat for easy access, then gripped the steering wheel and turned my gaze back to the long road ahead. With the enhanced automatic hand crossbow in hand and sufficient supplies, I felt much more confident. I gently pressed the accelerator, and the minivan moved forward steadily once more. I gripped the steering wheel, my eyes vigilantly locked on the road ahead, continuing toward the unknown path while keeping an eye on the roadside for signs of the next supply crate. I closed the door and instinctively glanced to the passenger seat. The blue quality automatic hand crossbow lay there quietly, the body of the weapon shimmering with a faint, cold light within easy reach. This eased my tense nerves slightly. The car started slowly, the engine's hum breaking the silence of the wilderness again. I gripped the steering wheel, my eyes still firmly locked on the road ahead, but my mind couldn't help but start analyzing the pattern of the supply crate appearances. The first supply crate was about 10 kilometers after starting, right in the middle of the road. The second, a bronze supply crate, was exactly 20 kilometers from the first, hidden at the foot of a sand dune on the right side of the road. One in the middle, one on the side, with unequal spacing and no discernible pattern to their locations. I recalled the size of the crates, roughly 40 centimeters times 40 centimeters times 40 centimeters, like a small suitcase. They weren't tiny, but they weren't exactly conspicuous either, especially in this environment filled with yellow sand where vision could easily be distorted. A slight distraction could mean missing one entirely. This was also why, since setting off, I had focused entirely on driving and never opened a regional channel again. Irrelevant information would only distract me, and missing a supply crate could mean missing a key resource for survival. In this survival competition, any slight negligence could be fatal. My gaze swept across the vast yellow sand on both sides of the window, and a new question arose. Since supply crates could spawn in the middle of the road and on the roadside, could they also be hidden deep within the yellow sand away from the road? The wristband gave no hints about the spawn range of the crates, so I could only guess, but I dared not test it. The wristband had indicated there was no danger within the first 24 hours, but that endless expanse of yellow sand still made my heart shudder. What was hidden beneath the sand? More desolation, or unknown dangers? I dare not think about it, nor did I dare to step out of the car and into the sand. Unknown things are always the most terrifying, especially in this survival world where I have no clues. Being cautious is the first rule of survival. I raised a hand to rub my brow, and when my fingertips touched the sweat on my forehead, I realized I had only been in this world for about an hour. Yet in this short hour, my mind had been highly tense, constantly vigilant of road conditions and surrounding movements, while also pondering issues of survival, supplies, and talents. The fatigue washed over me like a tide, more exhausting than a full day of work. Strangely, beneath my exhaustion, there was a faint, indescribable sense of pleasure. The feeling of finding a way to survive in a desperate situation and obtaining supplies through my own caution and judgment was both strange and novel. It made me wonder if, deep down, I had always craved this kind of adventure. This thought flashed through my mind, only to be forcibly suppressed. Now was not the time to dwell on my feelings. I understood better than anyone that he who acts first gains the advantage. The most important thing right now was to keep driving forward, searching for more supplies, and finding something of higher value to make proper use of my remaining 4 talent opportunities. I would never waste such precious chances on trivial, ordinary supplies. I straightened my back, collected my thoughts, and sharpened my gaze. I gripped the steering wheel firmly, maintaining a steady speed of 50 kilometers per hour as the odometer ticked upward, slowly extending my journey further into the distance. Time drifted by. After another 30 minutes of driving, the odometer increased by another 20 kilometers, bringing my total mileage to about 60 kilometers. Just then, my eyes flickered toward the side of the road on the left. A gray-black metal box sat quietly beside a sand dune, identical in size and appearance to the first ordinary supply crate. I gently pressed the brake, and the minivan slowed to a stop about a dozen meters away from the crate. I didn't get out immediately. Since my wristband storage could only hold 10 items, I operated the wristband to remove the mineral water and energy bars from the warehouse to ensure I had space for new finds. I placed these items neatly on the empty back seat. Once done, I picked up the automatic hand crossbow from the passenger seat. Its steady weight and cold frame gave me a sense of security. Having a weapon was my only real leverage right now. I kept the crossbow on safety to prevent any accidental discharge before finally pushing the door open. Gripping the automatic hand crossbow, I scanned my surroundings vigilantly. Once I confirmed there was nothing unusual, I walked quickly toward the crate. Reaching it, I extended my left hand and gently pressed my fingertips against its surface. The next second, my wristband vibrated slightly, and a prompt sounded. Ding! Ordinary supply, crate detected. Open it. Open! I whispered to myself, my eyes still scanning the surroundings vigilantly, not daring to relax for a moment. A pale white light flashed, and the crate slowly dissolved into shimmering particles. The wristband's warehouse interface popped up, refreshing with a list of items. They were all basic daily necessities, no fuel and no high-value equipment. Obtained, toilet paper times 1 pack, 10 rolls, basic daily necessity. Obtained, lemon-flavored sports drink times 1 bottle, 500 milliliters, replenishes water and electrolytes, relieves fatigue. Obtained, mini lighter times 1, can be used for lighting fires or emergencies. Obtained, metal scrap times 3, basic resource, can be used for future repairs or crafting. I glanced at the notifications. Ordinary supply crate. Is that all? Just like before, all items were automatically stored in my warehouse without manual effort. My eyes lingered on the metal scrap times 3 notification. I pondered. This was my first time obtaining such basic resources. The wristband indicated they could be used for repairs or crafting, which meant they would likely be very useful when my vehicle was damaged or when I needed to make tools. After collecting the supplies, I didn't linger. I kept a tight grip on the automatic hand crossbow and hurried back to the minivan, closing the door behind me. I leaned the crossbow against the passenger seat and placed the newly acquired daily necessities in the back seat for easy access. With that done, I pressed the accelerator and the minivan moved forward smoothly again. My supplies were enough for a while, but I was still most worried about fuel. I had driven another 20 kilometers, consuming a portion of my fuel. If I couldn't find more, the rest of the journey would be even harder. I glanced at the fuel gauge. Sure enough, the needle had dropped significantly. After this stretch, only about 6L remained. More than half was gone. Given the first-level minivan's consumption rate of 10L per 100 kilometers, this 6L would only last another 60 kilometers at most. If I didn't find fuel soon, the engine would eventually die. Anxiety rose within me again. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my gaze becoming even more vigilant, watching not just for crates on the roadside, but for any clues that might lead to fuel. The minivan continued forward for nearly another hour, adding 40 kilometers to the odometer for a total of about 100 kilometers. Just as my anxiety peaked and I began considering whether to slow down to save fuel, my eyes suddenly locked onto something, and I instinctively hit the brakes. In the yellow sand in the distance, something was reflecting a faint white light under the scorching sun. The light wasn't blinding, but it stood out sharply against the vast expanse of yellow sand. I turned off the engine, and the interior fell into silence. I leaned forward slightly, squinting to stare at the reflective area. It was too far to see clearly, but the reflective patch was small and irregularly shaped, bearing a resemblance to the metallic sheen of the previous supply crate. That same cold, faint metallic reflection. Was it another supply crate? Or something else? A mix of anticipation and caution stirred within me. After a moment of thought, I made my decision. Whatever it was worth checking out. If it was a crate, I might find fuel. If it was something else, it might provide a clue. Anything was better than sitting here waiting in anxiety. Taking a deep breath, I pushed the door open and stepped into the scorching wilderness, walking step by step toward the reflective patch in the distant sand. I gripped the automatic hand crossbow and pushed the door open. A wave of scorching air hit me, making me frown instinctively. I didn't rush into the sand. Instead, I stood by the door and looked down at the burning grains beneath my feet. Under the sunlight, the sand glittered with a blinding white light, and I could feel the heat radiating off it just by looking. After a moment of hesitation, I turned back into the car and quickly operated my wristband. I took all 4 bottles of mineral sports drink from the back seat and stored them in my wristband storage, leaving the energy bars and vacuum-packed eggs on the back seat. I knew nothing of what lay beyond the sand, but in this heat, I wouldn't last long without water. Water was the most critical survival resource right now. I knew this old, dilapidated minivan was my only foundation in this world, my shelter. No matter what that reflective point was, even if it contained precious supplies, survival had to come first. Having the courage to take risks was good, but recklessness would only lead to a dead end. If there was danger deep in the sand or if my body couldn't take it, I had to turn back to the car immediately. I would not fight a losing battle. Fully prepared, I pushed the door open again and stepped into the vast yellow sand without hesitation. As soon as my feet touched the sand, a searing pain shot through them. I instinctively quickened my pace, only to find that the sandy terrain was much harder to navigate than I had imagined. The soft sand clung to my feet, and every step required immense effort, as if I were walking on thick cotton or being dragged by an invisible force. My progress was agonizingly slow. Within just a few minutes, I was drenched in sweat. Beads of sweat rolled down my temples and hit the sand, evaporating instantly without leaving a trace. I realized too late that the stuffiness inside the car was actually bearable compared to the torment of the open sand. When the car was moving, the wind provided relief, but here in the still sand, the heat was like an invisible cage, wrapping around me so tightly that even breathing felt scorching. Every breath felt like swallowing flames. I looked up at the still blurry reflective point, then down at the sand, estimating the surface temperature. It had to be over 50 degrees Celsius. My soles felt like they were being roasted. The stinging pain in my feet grew more intense, and my legs gradually became heavy. I gritted my teeth and kept moving, my right hand still gripping the automatic hand crossbow, my eyes scanning the surroundings vigilantly. The sand was vast, with no landmarks and no sound other than my own heavy footsteps, rapid breathing, and a faint swish of wind over the sand, monotonous and oppressive. I didn't dare lose focus, struggling forward while watching for any signs of danger lurking in the depths of the sand. Time ticked by, and every step felt exceptionally difficult. I walked and stopped, occasionally leaning against a sand dune for a few seconds to rest, taking a tiny sip of the mineral sports drink from my wristband. I didn't dare drink much, knowing how precious water was. I had been struggling for nearly 30 minutes, yet I estimated I had covered less than 1 kilometer. Just as my legs began to feel weak, my eyes suddenly sharpened. The reflective point in the distance finally became clear. I could vaguely see it was a square object with a faint metallic luster, identical to the supply crate I had encountered before. Seeing hope, a surge of strength returned to me. I took a deep breath and resumed my heavy trek toward the reflective point. I had thought I would reach it quickly, but the resistance of the sand was far greater than I had anticipated. It took another 20 minutes to finally reach the vicinity of the object. By then, I was soaked through, my clothes clinging to my body and covered in fine sand, my legs feeling as heavy as lead. I had almost no strength left even to lift my arms. I stopped, leaning on my knees and gasping for air. After a long while, I regained some strength. Only then did I realize that I wasn't actually that far from the crate. Maybe 1.5 kilometers away, but it had taken me nearly 50 minutes to cover that short distance. The difficulty of the sandy terrain far exceeded my expectations. Every step cost several times more energy than usual. I didn't approach the crate immediately. Instead, I braced myself, tightened my grip on the crossbow, and vigilantly checked the surroundings. I circled the crate to confirm there were no traps or signs of unknown danger. The sand remained vast and silent, and only then did I breathe a slight sigh of relief. I walked slowly to the crate, my body swaying slightly from exhaustion. With my right hand still gripping the crossbow, I carefully extended my left hand and pressed my fingertips against the surface. The crate was heavier than the ordinary one, with a faint black iron luster and a harder texture, completely different from the ordinary or bronze crates I had seen before. The next second, my wristband vibrated, a crisp prompt sounded, and a light screen popped up with clear white text. Ding, black iron supply crate detected. Open it. A black iron supply crate. A flicker of joy crossed my eyes, and my exhaustion seemed to dissipate slightly. I guessed that the black iron supply crate was of a higher grade than the bronze one, and the rewards would surely be more generous. I whispered "open" in my heart and immediately pulled my hand back, scanning the surroundings vigilantly once more. The moment the command was given, the crate emitted a faint black iron glow, steady and heavy. The box slowly became transparent and eventually dissolved into shimmering particles that vanished into the sand. At the same time, the wristband's warehouse interface popped up, refreshing with a list of items that made my heart skip a beat. Obtained, fuel times 1 barrel, 20L. Obtained, lucky pennant times 1. Obtained, vehicle engine times 1. Looking at these rewards, a surge of excitement washed over me, especially the 20L of fuel, which completely solved my most pressing concern. I didn't stop to check the details of the items. I immediately turned around, gripped my crossbow, and hurried back toward the minivan. The depths of the sand were still full of unknowns, and I didn't know if danger would suddenly appear. Moreover, I could clearly feel the temperature rising, the heat waves becoming more scorching. My throat was parched, and I only had 1 bottle of water left in my storage. I had to hurry back to the car. If I stayed any longer, I might not even have the strength to return. The return journey was even harder than the trip there. My legs were aching unbearably. Every step was a torment. The stinging heat of the sand grew more intense, and my vision blurred from the heat and exhaustion. I gritted my teeth, relying on sheer willpower to push forward with only one thought in my mind: get back to the car as quickly as possible. I occasionally stopped to take a tiny sip of the remaining mineral sports drink to soothe my parched throat before continuing. I remained vigilant the whole way, scanning the surroundings for any accidents. After another hour of struggling, I finally saw the minivan parked by the road. At that moment, my tense nerves finally relaxed, and I quickened my pace. When I finally reached the minivan and pulled the door open, I practically stumbled inside. I collapsed into the driver's seat, gasping for air, my strength completely spent. I didn't even have the energy to lift my arms. I rested for a full 10 minutes before I regained some strength and my nerves fully relaxed. Only then did I dare to wipe the sweat and sand from my face and unscrew the last bottle of mineral sports drink, gulping it down. The cool liquid flowing down my throat instantly relieved my thirst and fatigue. Leaning back in the driver's seat, I finally felt at ease. I opened the wristband's warehouse interface and focused on the newly acquired supplies, preparing to check the details of each item and see their specific uses, especially the vehicle engine, and whether I could install it on the car immediately. I leaned back in the driver's seat for over 10 minutes until my rapid, breathing stabilized, and the soreness in my body eased. My right hand still instinctively gripped the automatic hand crossbow, the cold frame providing a sense of security. Once I was completely composed, I opened the warehouse interface and began to examine the 3 items from the black iron supply, crate one by one, my expression calm and rational, without any unnecessary sentiment. My first focus was the 20L of fuel, my most urgent need. The wristband indicated the fuel could be added directly to the tank, so I clicked confirm. Now, I had enough fuel to continue searching for a while, and I didn't have to worry about shortages, which put my mind at ease. Next, I turned my attention to the Lucky Pendant. The wristband screen displayed the details. Lucky Pendant, blue quality, vehicle item. Can be installed inside the vehicle. Attribute. Slightly increases the probability of obtaining high-quality items from supply crates. I scanned the description quickly and made my judgment. This was a long-term benefit item, crucial for searching for supplies and obtaining high-level equipment, so it had to be installed. I remember my remaining 4 talent opportunities. As a level 3 blue quality item, the pendant met the requirements for my rule breaker talent. Without hesitation, I chose to use the talent on the Lucky Pendant. The moment the talent triggered, the wristband screen flickered and a surprise prompt popped up. Talent effect triggered, quality increased by 2 levels. The next second, the attributes updated. Lucky Pendant, gold quality, vehicle item. After installation, attribute significantly increases the probability of obtaining high-quality items and rare props from supply crates, with a slight probability of avoiding low-level dangers. A flicker of surprise crossed my eyes before I regained my composure. I didn't linger and immediately operated the wristband to install the Lucky Pendant next to the center console. A gourd-shaped pendant immediately appeared beside it. After dealing with the pendant, I focused on the vehicle engine. I scrolled through the item description on the wristband screen, reading it with extreme care. Vehicle engine, green quality, vehicle core component. After use, it upgrades the vehicle's original engine. Vehicle speed plus 20, fuel consumption reduced by 20%. After reading the description, I realized more clearly than ever that in this survival world, this dilapidated minivan was my core reliance, my shelter, and my mobile tool. The importance of vehicle components far exceeded that of the automatic hand crossbow. I also vaguely guessed that the first-day supply crates would likely prioritize finished items. Since I had found resources like metal scrap, there would surely be corresponding blueprints later. After all, neither I nor other survivors had accumulated enough basic resources yet, so finished items were what would truly help everyone survive the initial hardships. After a moment of thought, I decided to use my talent on the vehicle engine to further improve its quality. I triggered Rule Breaker. After the screen flickered, the attributes upgraded. Vehicle engine, blue quality, vehicle core component. After installation, vehicle speed plus 40, fuel consumption reduced by 40%, engine durability increased, and failure probability reduced. Vehicle engine detected. Install. Install. I didn't hesitate and clicked immediately. Vehicle engine installed. I immediately opened the personal interface's vehicle section, which then displayed vehicle, first level old minivan, accessories, blue vehicle engine, top speed, 100 kilometers per hour. Without any extra information, I didn't hesitate and started the vehicle. The location of the black iron supply crate flashed in my mind. It was deep in the sand, far from the highway. This made me realize that the refresh range of supply crates wasn't limited to the middle of the road or the roadside. They also appeared deep in the sand, where they were higher level and contained better supplies. But I quickly calmed down, remembering the difficulty of walking in the sand. The surface temperature of over 50 degrees, the soft sand draining my stamina, the 1.5-kilometer journey taking nearly 50 minutes and consuming a large amount of water. One wrong move could lead to a desperate situation. Based on these experiences, I concluded, do not enter the depths of the sand unless necessary. I would prioritize searching for supply crates on the highway and its sides, and only consider stepping into the sand if I desperately needed high-level supplies or fuel and had confirmed it was relatively safe. After all, cautious survival was the key to living in the long run. The van slowly pulled away from the roadside, returning to the highway and heading toward the unknown. The fuel gauge on the dashboard showed plenty of fuel, and with the upgraded vehicle engine, my mindset was much steadier than before. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, my eyes scanning the road ahead and the sand dunes on both sides with vigilance. My right hand occasionally brushed against the automatic hand crossbow beside the passenger seat, keeping me in a state of constant readiness without the slightest relaxation. The vehicle drove smoothly through the vast wilderness, with only the hum of the engine and the faint sound of wind passing by the windows accompanying me along the way. I stared at the wristband display on my left wrist. The numbers precisely ticked at 15:57, and every tick of the second hand felt like it was hammering against my nerves. The mileage on the dashboard climbed steadily, and the upgraded engine emitted a low, stable roar, devoid of the initial noise and vibration. There was still more than half a tank of fuel left, but water was running low. Furthermore, there was that cold countdown-style disaster warning on my wristband. The system had never revealed any information regarding the type or intensity of the disaster. This absolute unknown made me feel more lost and uneasy than any visible monster could. I couldn't keep driving at such a leisurely pace. I took a deep breath and pressed the accelerator a bit harder. The dilapidated van accelerated steadily on the asphalt, avoiding the sporadic shallow potholes and piles of gravel on the road. Along this stretch, I drove 100 kilometers in one go. For supply, crates appeared in my field of vision along the way. I didn't hesitate at all. Every time I passed a crate, I brought the vehicle to a steady stop, reached out to touch the casing, and opened it. There were no unnecessary movements or processes for dismantling the box. The moment my fingertips touched the metal surface, the system notification sounded. Once I confirmed the opening, the crate dissolved into fine specks of light, and the supplies were directly stored in my wristband warehouse. The entire process took only a few seconds. By the time I finished with the fourth supply crate, the wristband time showed 17:52. The sun on the horizon had long since lost its midday heat, turning into a blurry, dark red halo that was rapidly sinking toward the horizon. The entire yellow sand goby was shrouded in a thick, gray-black shadow. The light faded at a visible rate. The edges of the highway that were once clear gradually became blurred, and the temperature dropped accordingly. The dry, hot wind began to carry a bone-chilling cold, and the sound of wind and sand in the distance seemed to become particularly harsh. I was just about to continue forward, wanting to cover some more ground before it got completely dark, when the wristband on my left wrist suddenly flashed with a blinding blue light. A server-wide announcement was forcibly popped onto the screen, and a cold, mechanical notification echoed directly in my mind. Global announcement. The current time has reached 1800 hours, entering the nighttime period. During the night, global visibility will continue to decrease, and driving at night will face unpredictable risks. After reading the announcement, I looked out the window. It was already so dark that I could barely see anything beyond 10 meters. Only the outline of the highway was barely distinguishable. The system's warning was no joke, since it explicitly cautioned that moving forward at night was fraught with danger. I could no longer afford to be lucky. I slowly stepped on the brake, parked the van in a relatively flat spot in the middle of the highway, pulled the handbrake, and killed the engine. It wasn't pitch black yet, so I could take advantage of this final glimmer of light to take stock of my gains along the way and get a clear picture of my situation. I focused my mind and pulled up the warehouse interface on my wristband. The screen lit up in the dim cabin, clearly listing all the supplies I had just obtained. First were the gains from the 2 common grade supply crates. They were all basic survival supplies, but they solved my urgent needs. Pure water times 6, instant noodles times 4, compressed biscuit times 2, and cloth times 3. 6 bottles of pure water entered the warehouse, instantly easing my anxiety about water shortages. At the very least, my drinking water for the next day was guaranteed. Next were the gains from the 2 bronze-grade supply crates, which were far more generous than the common ones. In addition to basic supplies, there were unexpected bonuses. The basic survival resources and materials were as follows: pure water times 8, vacuum-packed bread times 5, braised egg times 3, metal block times 12, rubber times 4, plastic times 3, and fuel times 10L. It was a good thing the 10 liters of fuel replenished my consumption, or I would have truly suffered from fuel anxiety. I placed all the water and food in the empty space behind the driver's seat. What really caught my eye were the 2 extra items produced by the 2 bronze supply crates. The first was a pale green blueprint, with clear information marked next to the icon. Vehicle frame blueprint, green quality. Description: a prerequisite blueprint for the core of vehicle upgrades. It can be used to craft a sturdy basic vehicle frame, replacing the old original frame to increase the vehicle's overall durability and load-bearing capacity. Crafting requirements: metal block times 20, rubber times 5, plastic times 5. The second item was a finished material with a pale green luster. Reinforced glass times 1, green quality. Description: a high-performance protective material that can directly replace the existing damaged windows of the vehicle, enhancing the protective capability of the windows. Replaces all windows of the vehicle. I stared at these 2 items in the warehouse, my fingers sliding gently across the screen as I fell into deep thought. First, I looked at the vehicle frame blueprint. I quickly calculated my current material inventory. I only had 15 metal blocks for rubber and 3 plastic. I was still quite short of the crafting requirements of 20 metal blocks, 5 rubber, and 5 plastic, so I couldn't craft it for the time being. What troubled me even more was whether I should use my talent, promotion, to enhance this blueprint. My talent could promote an item by 1 tier with 100% success, but a blueprint wasn't a finished product. If I promoted it, would the crafting requirements also increase? If that were the case, I might have been able to slowly gather the materials, but after the promotion, it would only become harder to achieve, which would be counterproductive. Besides that, a bold idea popped into my mind. I could wait until I gathered the materials and crafted the finished vehicle frame before using my talent to enhance it. But if I enhanced the blueprint now, could the finished product crafted from it be promoted by my talent again? If it could, the value of my promotion talent would be infinitely magnified. This was undoubtedly an extremely exaggerated setting. However, this hypothesis was impossible to verify right now. My basic resources were already insufficient. I didn't have enough to craft the frame, nor could I afford the consumption of repeated testing. After hesitating for a long time, I finally suppressed the thought and decided to leave the vehicle frame blueprint in the warehouse for now, waiting until I had collected enough materials to find an opportunity to verify this hypothesis. In contrast, I didn't hesitate at all regarding how to handle the reinforced glass. The car was my only safe zone in this cruel competition. It was my lifeline. Especially in the coming night, the protective capability of the windows was directly related to my survival. As a green quality protective material, the reinforced glass was already much stronger than the original damaged glass. If I used my talent to promote it, its protective capability would inevitably reach a new level. I no longer hesitated. I precisely selected reinforced glass ×1 in the warehouse and silently recited in my heart, use talent promotion. Ding! Talent promotion activated, 100% success rate for 1-tier item promotion. Item reinforced glass has been promoted to crystallized bulletproof glass, blue quality. The item icon in the warehouse updated instantly. The pale green halo faded, replaced by a clear blue glow, and the texture of the glass on the icon became more transparent and harder. I clicked on the details, and the description was brand new. Crystallized bulletproof glass ×1, blue quality. Description: promoted from reinforced glass, forged using a special crystallization process, possessing both high strength and toughness, capable of insulating some external temperatures. Ding! Detected installable vehicle accessory, crystallized bulletproof glass. Do you want to immediately replace all damaged windows of the vehicle? The system notification sounded at the right time. Without a moment's hesitation, I clicked confirm on the screen. The next second, all the original damaged and scratched windows of the van dissolved into specks of light. The crystallized bulletproof glass fit the window frames perfectly, seamless, and tight. The entire installation process was completed in an instant. Ding! Vehicle window replacement complete. Window protection level significantly increased. I reached out and touched the window. A cold, hard sensation came from my fingertips. The transparent glass allowed me to clearly see the scene outside, yet I could distinctly feel a heavy sense of protection. Looking at these attributes, my hanging heart finally settled. With this blue quality glass, my safety while staying in the car tonight had gained an extra layer of solid protection. After taking stock of the supplies, I leaned back in the driver's seat, looking at the darkening sky outside the window, but a few doubts arose in my heart. Along the way, I encountered 4 supply crates and obtained a blueprint and reinforced glass. What level of gain was this among the billions of survivors globally? Was it my own good luck, or was it the effect of a lucky pendant? I lay in the driver's seat. The worn-out texture of the seat pressed against my back, but it was far less heavy than the vigilance in my heart. According to the system announcement, as long as I stayed in the car tonight without getting out or driving, I would likely avoid the dangers of the night. But when facing the unknown, human fear and worry never easily dissipate. Even though the upgraded crystallized bulletproof glass had given me enough protection, I still didn't dare to relax in the slightest. In just 6 short hours today, I had gone from being at a loss at the start to rushing around to find supplies, upgrading my vehicle, and replacing the windows. My nerves had been stretched tight the whole time, and fatigue wrapped around me like a tide, my eyelids so heavy they were almost sticking together. But I still didn't dare to rest. On one hand, I was worried about sudden accidents in the night. On the other hand, the downtime when I couldn't drive was the best time to gather information. I had been too busy rushing and finding supplies during the day to have any extra energy to pay attention to the situation of other survivors. Now, I could finally calm down and see how others among the billions of survivors were doing, whether there were any experiences I could learn from or risks I could avoid. Thinking of this, I slightly loosened my grip on the steering wheel and slid my fingertips gently across the wristband screen. Fortunately, my parents were both over 50 and not within the 16 to 50 age range for the competition, so I didn't have to worry about the safety of my family. I was alone, which was the only thing I could find comfort in at this moment. Without any worries, I could devote myself entirely to this cruel survival competition. I first opened the World Channel. The information on the screen refreshed crazily, so fast that it was impossible to see the full content. I quickly adjusted the refresh speed to the slowest, but even so, the screen was still filled with dense text, over 90% of which were useless cries for help. These cries for help made my heart sink, but I was powerless to do anything. In this world where everyone was looking out for themselves, everyone was doing their best to survive, and no one could even guarantee their own safety, who would easily reach out to help. Even if someone wanted to help, they wouldn't know where to start. After watching for a few minutes, I closed the World Channel. Rather than wasting time in the chaotic cries for help, it was better to focus on the regional channel. The system setting up a regional channel likely meant that survivors in the same region would likely meet in the future. At this stage, paying attention to information in the regional channel was far more valuable than the World Channel. It allowed me to understand the strength of surrounding survivors and prepare for subsequent journeys. Opening the regional channel, the information on the screen was still chaotic, but much more orderly than the World Channel. The system stipulated that each survivor could only post 3 times a day in the regional channel, which avoided meaningless spam and gave each post a bit more weight. Even so, with a base of 100,000 people in one region, new posts kept popping up. I slowly scrolled through the screen, carefully browsing every piece of valuable information. I only have half a bottle of water left, and I can't find supplies at night. This trading system doesn't work either. What should I do? Does anyone have extra food? Anything will do. I have money. How can I give it to you? The trading system doesn't work. Those who found supplies normally today shouldn't be short of food and drink, right? At least you won't die of thirst or hunger. Did you not find a supply crate? And do you think money is still useful? I've been in the car the whole time and didn't dare to move. I have no water or food. Can someone come and save me? I couldn't believe there were people who hadn't moved to find supplies all day. They probably hadn't accepted the reality of the crossing. People like this would definitely be eliminated soon. Did we really cross over? Can we go back? Mom, Dad, are you there? I opened 3 common supply crates today, all food and water. Did anyone open anything else? Fellow countrymen, let me summarize some advice for everyone. 1. You must drive to find supplies. There will be supply crates near the road. Touching them will open them. They contain food and water, which will be automatically stored in your wristband warehouse. 2. You must stay in the car at night and don't go out. The supply crates I encountered were all on the edge of the highway. Has anyone checked the yellow sand zone? Are you all staying in your cars after dark? I always feel like there are sounds outside, and I don't dare to sleep. Does anyone know what the disaster is after 24 hours? The system didn't give any hints at all. I'm so panicked. Seeing this, I realized once again that this was a real survival game. Although many people still didn't understand the situation, most were relatively clear and rational. It didn't seem as brainless as the novels and short dramas I had read before. After 24 hours, is anyone willing to team up? I have extra food. As long as we can resist the danger together, I can share half with you. Brother above, let's meet up later. It's too hard alone. Are there any girls? I'm too scared alone. Looking for a companion. I have pure water. I can share 2 bottles with you. Beauty, I have a black iron talent that increases supply crate gains by plus 40%. Let's meet up later. Brother will protect you, food and drink included. Beauty, I also have a black iron talent for constitution enhancement, increasing constitution by 60%. I feel like I can carry the car and run. Come to brother later, safe and worry-free. What interested me most were the posts about talents. Everyone was asking about each other's talents, sharing their effects, and occasionally someone would ask for help or tips on how to use them. I browsed carefully and found that most people's talents were of common quality. A few were black iron quality, very few were bronze quality, and I hadn't seen anyone mention silver quality. Damn, your talents seem so useful. I opened a mental warning of bronze quality. It triggers a reminder when something approaches, but I've been running until now and haven't even seen a blade of grass. It feels so useless. Asking if anyone has a silver talent. Can you show everyone? I opened 5 metal blocks and 2 rubber. Can these be used to fix the car? Any brothers who know? I opened 3 supply crates, all common, but fortunately there were many of them, and I have enough food and water. I'm content. I'm almost out of fuel. Did you all find fuel? What should I do? If I can't get fuel tomorrow, the car will be useless. I browsed through them one by one, my fingers sliding slowly across the screen, and I gradually felt more confident. I watched for a full hour. The posts in the regional channel kept updating, but I never saw anyone mention opening rare items like blueprints or reinforced glass, nor did I see anyone mention opening anything other than basic survival supplies and common materials. Most people encountered common supply crates, and only a small number of people were lucky enough to encounter bronze supply crates, which only contained common daily supplies and basic crafting resources. No one even mentioned a single green quality item. At this moment, I finally realized that my gains today were definitely top tier in the regional channel. Of course, I also knew that this didn't mean other players hadn't opened rare items. This survival game itself was full of competition, and people's hearts were unpredictable. Smart players would never easily expose their trump cards and gains. Just like me, since entering the regional channel, I had been silently browsing information, never using my 3 daily posting opportunities. Even when I saw people asking for help or showing off, I remained silent and didn't reveal any of my information. This was the wise way to survive. However, what puzzled me was that, based on my experience reading novels, why couldn't the trading system be used? Also, the communication channel only allowed me to see what others posted, but I didn't know who posted what, making it all very mysterious. There wasn't even a private chat function. Did I have to wait until the 24-hour novice stage was over, or did I need to trigger something? Closing the regional channel, I leaned back in the driver's seat, looking at the pitch-black night outside the window. My confusion had lessened, and I felt more confident. Through the information in the regional channel, I had a rough understanding of the strength and situation of other survivors. Next, what I had to do was continue to collect supplies, gather the materials to craft the vehicle frame, improve my strength, and wait quietly for the dawn, while also preparing to deal with the unknown disaster. I had been eating and watching for about 2 hours in the regional channel. I raised my hand to check the time on the wristband screen. It was already 20:30. Fatigue wrapped around my limbs like thick cotton. The 6 hours of rushing and finding supplies during the day, plus 2 hours of highly concentrated information browsing, made me really want to close my eyes and rest for a while. The night was deep, and outside the window, it was still pitch black. No one knew if any other accidents would happen tonight. But I suddenly remembered that my talent, Rule Breaker, still had 2 activation opportunities left today. The system had explicitly stated that the daily activation count for talents would refresh at 12 o'clock midnight. Apart from the basic survival supplies, materials, and a vehicle frame blueprint I had opened today, I had no other items that could be used for promotion. For now, I could only try to use these 2 talent opportunities on basic supplies. After hesitating for a few seconds, I took a bottle of pure water from the warehouse, held it in my hand, and silently recited in my heart, "Use talent, Rule Breaker." Ding, talent, Rule Breaker. Activated. Item promoted by 1 tier. Item pure water has been promoted to pure water, green quality. I clicked on the item details, and a clear attribute description popped up on the screen. Pure water, green quality promoted from common pure water. It has a sweet taste. After drinking, it can quickly eliminate physical fatigue, slowly restore mental energy, has no side effects, and the effect lasts for 1 hour after drinking. Looking at the attribute introduction, I sighed softly. The effect of this green quality water was indeed good, but using a precious talent opportunity on a bottle of common pure water still felt a bit of a pity. But there were no better items to promote right now, and I couldn't let the talent opportunity go to waste, so I had to make do. Without too much hesitation, I took another bottle of pure water from the warehouse, ready to use my last daily talent opportunity. Dane Talent Rule Breaker. Activated. Item promoted by 2 tiers. Item Pure Water has been promoted to Constitution Booster, blue quality. The item icon on the screen turned a clear blue. My eyes were locked on the attribute description, and my pupils shrank sharply, almost in disbelief. Constitution Booster, blue quality. After drinking, it can permanently increase basic constitution by 1 point. No drinking limit. Only 1 bottle of the same quality can be consumed per day. Blue quality water can actually permanently increase my base constitution attribute. The regret I felt just a moment ago vanished instantly, replaced by an irrepressible sense of surprise. I couldn't help but exclaim inwardly that this rule breaker is truly a mythical grade talent. It's just too overpowered. And this is only the effect of a blue quality item. If I could promote items to even higher qualities, I can't imagine how heaven-defying the effects might be. I had been annoyed about wasting my talent opportunities earlier, but now I only felt fortunate that I hadn't missed these 2 chances. A sense of confidence welled up from within, and I felt much more assured about the survival journey ahead. Without the slightest hesitation, I unscrewed the cap of the Constitution Booster and downed the entire bottle. The sweet, clear liquid slid down my throat, and a faint yet distinct warmth spread from my esophagus throughout my body. A subtle, tingling sensation rippled through my limbs, and most of my previous fatigue dissipated. I immediately pulled up my personal attribute interface on my wristband. The information on the light screen was clear. Personal attributes name, Wu Di, Constitution, 9, Spirit, 13. Talent, Rule Breaker, Mythical Grade. Talent Effect 1. Can be used on a single item. 100% chance to increase by 1 tier. 30% chance to increase by 2 tiers. 5% chance to increase by 3 tiers. Daily usage limit. 5 times. Maximum promotion cannot exceed mythical grade. Talent Effect 2. Can specify a single item to directly break through 3 tiers. Cooldown. 72 hours. Maximum promotion cannot exceed mythical grade. Talent Note. Mythical grade talent, unique characteristic, can only be used to promote single items, limited to supplies, equipment, and blueprints. Vehicle, old minivan, level 1. My constitution had indeed increased from 8 to 9. I could feel the subtle changes in my body. My previously aching limbs now felt full of strength. This 1-point increase in constitution was even more significant than I had imagined. While rejoicing, I remembered that Rule Breaker had a second talent effect. I could designate any item to break through by 3 tiers, though this effect had a 3-day cooldown. I subconsciously touched the vehicle frame blueprint in my wristband storage, feeling a moment of hesitation. Should I use it on the blueprint now? But then I thought, a 3-day cooldown isn't short. I hadn't gathered the materials to craft the vehicle frame yet, so even if I promoted the blueprint to 3 tiers, I couldn't craft it immediately. It would be a waste of a precious high-tier breakthrough opportunity. It's better to wait. Tomorrow, while traveling to find supplies, I'll see if I can find more valuable items, and then it won't be too late to use this talent effect. Having made up my mind, I secretly decided, regardless of whether I find good items tomorrow, I must use talent effect too. Using it early means the cooldown starts early, allowing me to reach the next opportunity sooner. With the talent usage issue settled, I adjusted the angle of the driver's seat, found a relatively comfortable position to lie down, and without further thought, drifted into a deep sleep accompanied by the faint, strange noises outside the window. I don't know how long I slept, but a slight shaking suddenly jolted me awake. I snapped my eyes open, felt disoriented for 3 seconds, and immediately reached for the automatic hand crossbow on the passenger seat. At the same time, I tapped the wristband screen to check the time by its faint glow. It was 0:30. Outside the carriage was an impenetrable darkness. There wasn't a single light source. The old minivan itself wasn't equipped with any lights, and only the interface projected by the wristband emitted a weak blue glow, barely illuminating the cramped cabin. Using this faint light, I stared fixedly at the window, straining to listen for movement outside, but it was pitch black. I couldn't see a thing. The vehicle continued to shake from time to time, the intensity varying, accompanied by a few muffled thuds. My heart tightened with every movement. I had no idea what was happening outside, but I immediately recalled the system announcement. The first 24 hours were the novice period. If there were still dangers while inside the vehicle, I doubted many of us would survive. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm, and kept repeating to myself, as long as I stay in the vehicle, I am likely safe. Once I step out, I will inevitably encounter unknown dangers. I gripped the hand crossbow and pressed myself against the seat, watching the window vigilantly, ready to respond to any emergency. Just like that, I drifted in and out of consciousness until the second half of the night. The occasional shaking of the vehicle and the vague noises outside never escalated into a real threat. I held the automatic hand crossbow, my nerves taut in a half-awake state, until the darkness outside gradually faded and a glimmer of light appeared in the dark gray sky. At 6 in the morning, the wristband emitted a crisp notification. Ding! The night has ended. I wish you all a pleasant journey. I rubbed my throbbing head and immediately opened the regional channel. A night had passed, and the channel was already in an uproar, with messages scrolling by rapidly. Damn! I was scared to death last night. The car kept shaking. I thought a monster was going to break in. Me too. I didn't dare sleep the whole time, just listening to the thumping outside. I only dared to close my eyes when it was almost dawn. Does anyone know what the hell is outside? I didn't even dare to look at the window. Look at the number of people in the top right corner. It was exactly 100,000 yesterday. Now, there are only 93,632 left. 6,000 people gone in one night. Someone must have been unable to hold back and stepped out in the novice period, and they dare to gamble with their lives. Everyone, hurry up. Who knows what's waiting for us today? After 12 p.m., the novice period ends. Think about how to survive. Do you think the 6,000 plus people who are missing went back to their original world? Still dreaming? You think aliens are playing with us? My fuel is running out. What do I do? Has anyone found weapons? How are we supposed to handle this empty-handed? Are we supposed to fist fight monsters? I scanned the channel for a few moments before closing it. The sharp drop in numbers hit me like a bucket of cold water, reminding me that this highway survival game was no game. There were only 6 hours left in the novice period. This was my last stretch of absolute safety to develop before encountering other players. I didn't delay any longer and turned the key to start the engine. The upgraded blue-quality engine emitted a low, steady roar. I chewed on a vacuum-packed spiced egg, took a sip of water, and steadily brought the speed up to 50 kilometers per hour, my eyes locked on both sides of the road. But today, the supply crates seemed to have completely vanished. An hour passed, the odometer jumped forward by 50 kilometers, and the road was blindingly empty. I hadn't seen a single shadow. Just as a hint of unease began to stir in my heart, a metallic glint finally appeared in the middle of the road ahead. I slowly pulled over, confirmed the surroundings were safe, and reached out to press my hand against the crate. Ding! Black iron supply. Crate detected. Open it. Open. A series of notifications popped up on the light screen. Obtained. Level 1 Vehicle Upgrade Blueprint X1. Obtained. Military Tactical Dagger X1. White quality. Obtained. Metal Block X5. Obtained. Rubber X5. Obtained. Plastic X5. My eyes lit up, and I immediately opened the Vehicle Upgrade Blueprint. Level 1 Vehicle Upgrade Blueprint. Used to upgrade a Level 1 vehicle to Level 2. Upgrade requirements. Level 2 Vehicle Engine/Met. Level 2 Vehicle Glass/Met. Level 2 Vehicle Frame/Not Met. Seeing this, everything became clear. The engine and vehicle glass I found yesterday were all prerequisites for a Level 2 vehicle. Only the vehicle frame was missing, and I had happened to find the vehicle frame blueprint yesterday. Back inside the car, I immediately opened the blueprint. Vehicle frame blueprint, green quality, can craft a basic vehicle frame, increasing vehicle durability and impact resistance. Crafting requirements: metal block X20, rubber X5, plastic X5. I scanned my storage: 15 metal blocks for rubber, 3 plastic. Adding the 5 metal blocks, 5 rubber, and 5 plastic I just found, I had all the materials. I hesitated for a moment, but ultimately decided not to use my talent on the blueprint. If the blueprint were promoted, the crafting requirements might skyrocket, which would stall my upgrade at this stage. It's better to craft the item first, then strengthen the finished product. Ding! Consume metal block X20, rubber X5, plastic X5 to craft the vehicle frame. Craft. Ding! Vehicle frame, crafting complete. Vehicle frame, green quality basic reinforced frame, slightly improves overall vehicle performance, increases impact resistance, and reduces wear from road damage. Without a pause, I immediately used my talent on the newly crafted frame. Ding! Talent rule breaker activated. Vehicle frame, green quality, promoted by 1 tier. Vehicle frame, blue quality high-strength alloy frame, significantly improves vehicle defense, durability, and stability, greatly reducing wear from impacts and damaged roads. It only went up 1 tier, and I sighed slightly, but it was enough. Install. As I spoke, the entire minivan shuddered slightly. The dust, rust, and scratches on the exterior faded away like a tide. The old, deformed shell became smooth and sturdy again, and the paint restored to a clean, matte white. Inside, the worn seats, yellowed interior, and loose center console were all refurbished. The seat padding was firm and thick, the door panels were tight, and the gaps were sealed. At a glance, it looked like a brand new standard minivan, no longer feeling like it was about to fall apart at any moment. I touched the steering wheel and tested the air conditioning vents. The blades turned, but no cold air came out. I guessed that features like air conditioning likely required specific blueprints or accessories to unlock. But for now, all the core conditions for a Level 2 vehicle had been met. I took a deep breath, opened the Level 1 Vehicle Upgrade Blueprint, and pressed the button that would determine my leap in strength. Ding! All conditions for upgrading from level 1 to level 2 vehicle met. Perform upgrade. Confirm upgrade. Ding. Vehicle upgrade initiated. Vehicle cannot move during the upgrade process. Please wait patiently. 10%, 35%, 68%, 100%. Ding, congratulations. Your level 1 old minivan has been successfully upgraded to level 2 standard minivan. Vehicle, level 2 standard minivan. Maximum speed, 120 kilometers per hour. Accessories, blue quality vehicle engine, blue quality crystallized bulletproof glass, blue quality high-strength alloy frame. Note, level 2 vehicle has unlocked basic stable structure, supporting the installation of subsequent high-tier accessories. Ding! Level 2 vehicle detected. System gift, fuel 50 LX1, stored in wristband storage. It even gives fuel? Is this survival game so thoughtful? It seems I won't be short on fuel in the short term. I was stunned. After upgrading to a level 2 vehicle, I noticed no major changes to the vehicle itself, other than the maximum speed increasing to 120 kilometers per hour and the ability to install high-tier accessories. Could it be like in web novels, where it comes with a farming space? I felt a bit expectant. With my talent, those things didn't seem too hard to achieve. At this stage, I believed no one was progressing faster than me. Not only had I completed the level 2 vehicle upgrade, but I also had a gold quality vehicle item that increased luck. For now, water and food only need to meet basic needs. Based on yesterday's experience, as long as I keep driving, I won't run out. I have weapons and fuel. Next, I'll continue looking for supply crates. If I can find another blue quality item today, can I use my talent to get something better than gold quality? I wonder what comes after gold quality. Thinking of this, I felt excited and couldn't wait to trigger it. I calmed down after the upgrade. There were only 4 hours left in the novice period, so I didn't dare to slack off. I started the vehicle and continued forward, seizing every second to collect supplies. Just a few kilometers later, a metallic crate with a black iron luster appeared by the roadside. I slowed to a stop, my eyes full of surprise. It was actually a black iron supply crate. I couldn't help but recall the first one, hidden deep in the yellow sand, which had cost me most of my stamina and nearly left me dehydrated to obtain. This second one was just lying by the road, within easy reach. Did the refresh rate for high-quality supply crates increase today? I felt a stir in my heart and subconsciously opened the regional channel. Sure enough, many people were showing off. The number of people encountering bronze supply crates had clearly increased, and some were even posting materials and food found in them. But I didn't linger. The trading channel wasn't open yet, so others' gains had nothing to do with me. Rather than wasting time, I should focus on the road. Back in the car, I took out the military tactical dagger I had just found, my fingertips tracing the cold blade. This dagger was white quality. After a moment of thought, I gave up the idea of using my talent to promote it. The value of upgrading white quality is too low. Even if promoted to green, it would just be an ordinary self-defense tool, far less useful than using my talent on food or vehicle accessories that directly improve my survival. After all, upgraded food could increase my base attributes, which was much more practical than a common dagger. I put the dagger away, and my gaze fell on the gold-quality gourd pendant next to the center console, a hint of doubt arising. Following the current pattern, ordinary supplies correspond to level 1, green to level 2, blue to level 3, so this gold-quality pendant should be a level 5 item. But I hadn't encountered any level 4 items yet, so I didn't know what quality they corresponded to, let alone if there were higher levels after level 5. These questions had no answers for now. I suppressed my thoughts and gripped the steering wheel to continue driving. The car was getting increasingly hot. I estimated the outdoor temperature had reached over 30 degrees. With less than 4 hours left until the 12 p.m. deadline, time was becoming increasingly tight. The vehicle moved steadily, and after another 20 kilometers, a fork in the road suddenly appeared. The two paths were identical, wide, 3-lane asphalt roads stretching into the yellow sand, with no signs and no differences. There was no way to judge which direction to take. I didn't get out of the car. I parked in the middle of the fork and observed repeatedly through the crystallized, bulletproof glass. Choosing left or right concerned my future supply collection and survival. But I had no clues, and a sense of confusion and anxiety rose in my heart. Just as I was hesitating, the lucky pendant next to the center console suddenly emitted a faint golden light, and the gourd shape became somewhat transparent. The soft light was particularly striking in the car. The next second, a strong intuition suddenly rose in my heart. Go right. This feeling had no basis, but it was exceptionally firm. I remembered that this pendant was gold quality, capable of significantly increasing the output of high-quality supplies and avoiding danger. Since it gave a hint, it was worth a try. Without further hesitation, I turned the steering wheel and drove into the right fork. I drove along the right road for nearly 2 hours, and it was almost 10 a.m. But in those 100-plus kilometers, the road was terrifyingly empty. Forget about black iron or bronze supply crates. I hadn't even encountered the most ordinary ones. This damn gourd isn't trying to screw me, is it? I felt a hint of suspicion, my tone full of helplessness. I drove a bit further, and as time approached 11 a.m., there was still no harvest, and my anxiety grew stronger. I looked behind me. Food and water were running low. If I couldn't find a supply crate, my situation would become extremely difficult once the novice protection period ended, and I had to face unknown disasters and other survivors. Damn it, if I don't find anything by 12 o'clock, I'm smashing this piece of junk. I looked at the pendant still glowing on the center console and cursed viciously in my heart. Just as I was about to lose patience and even considered turning back, a metallic glint in the distance suddenly caught my eye. I instantly perked up and slammed on the accelerator, speeding toward it. After stopping the car, I realized the supply crate was slightly different from the ones I had encountered before. The box was larger, the surface had a faint silvery white luster, the texture was heavier, and the patterns were more exquisite. It was clearly not an ordinary black iron or bronze-level crate. Could it be a higher-level crate? My heart skipped a beat, and all my anxiety and dissatisfaction vanished instantly, replaced by a surge of ecstasy. I didn't get out of the car immediately. I checked through the window to ensure there were no anomalies before pushing the door open, walking quickly to the crate, and gently pressing my fingertips against its surface. Ding! Silver supply crate detected. Open it. Open. I whispered in my heart without the slightest hesitation. The light screen instantly popped up with notifications, and the supply information was clearly presented. Obtained. Energy Core X1, blue quality. Item description. Vehicle core accessory. Provides stable energy for the vehicle, can replace fuel. A single use meets the energy consumption of a Level 2 vehicle for 1 day. Usage requirement. Level 2 or higher vehicle. Obtained. Vehicle air conditioner blueprint X1, green quality. Item description. Can be used to craft a vehicle air conditioner. After installation, it can regulate the temperature inside the vehicle. Crafting requirements. Metal block X2, plastic X1, rubber X1. Obtained. Instant noodles X1 box, 12 cups total. Obtained. Mineral water X5, 500 milliliters per bottle. Looking at these gains, I was slightly surprised. Based on the previous black iron supply crate, This silver supply crate only yielded one blue quality item, one green quality item, and some basic food and water. The quantity wasn't huge. But then I realized these two core items were exactly what I needed most. The energy core could replace fuel, solving my fuel concerns, and the air conditioner blueprint would allow me to escape the heat, which was far more valuable than any amount of basic supplies. I put the supplies away and quickly returned to the car. My gaze fell on the lucky pendant again, and the dissatisfaction in my tone had long since vanished, replaced by a sense of fortune. It's a good thing I trusted it just now, otherwise I would have missed this key harvest. I took the energy core out of the wristband storage. It looks like a blue sphere the size of a billiard ball. Is this black technology? Ding! Vehicle accessory energy core detected. Install immediately. No, I didn't install it directly. I was thinking about a question. Should I use Talent Effect 2 on this energy core? I'm not currently short on fuel, and I have the 50L of fuel gifted by the system to cover today and tomorrow. I won't install it for now. If I don't find anything better by 12 o'clock, I'll use my talent on this energy core. After yesterday, I knew very well that the vehicle was the most important thing in this survival game, and energy was the core of the vehicle. I stored everything from the silver supply crate and immediately focused on the vehicle air conditioner blueprint.